Celtics tied 1-1 after getting their asses absolutely beat down by the Cleveland Cavaliers and making, we'll say, 2 threes in the second half, one of which was an O'Shea Brissett three late in the game in garbage time. Saw some Walshy, but really just a total bed shitting. Spoonie, Jake, how's it going?
Not great.
Super good. Super good. This is all part of the plan, obviously, for some reason, is losing game 2. I thought that they may have learned a little bit. Like, you can lose these games, and that's fine. Like, you lose the game, fine, but they came out, played great defense, and then we didn't see it again, really, for more than, 3 possessions in a row. And that, to me, is why they lost.
Yeah, I said it in the chat of the playback. I think they let the missed shots impact their defense, and you just can't do that in the playoffs. It's almost like they haven't been tested at all, because even their game 2 loss was kind of like, all right, well, we can't do anything about this. The Heat are shooting 55% from 3. And then otherwise, they've basically cruised in every other game. So they're almost playing like they'll just flip the switch when they need to, and they just couldn't. I mean, I don't want to say it was a pure shooting variance game. It wasn't. We played poorly, but also there was some shooting variance there. At one point in the third quarter, the Cavs went 7 of 10 from 3 and we went 0 of 8, and it was a 13-point game at the end of that quarter. You flip that even a little bit and all of a sudden it's a really tight game, and I feel like it probably just plays out a lot differently in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, there was blood in the water early. We were having a lot of difficulty defending their pick and roll action early in this one, and sort of the indecisiveness defensively on whether or not to come off the roll man. We were, and that got Evan Mobley cooking early. The Cavs were cooking inside in that first half, and then just got ridiculously hot in the third quarter. And it started with crazy contested, jacking up shots from Donovan Mitchell, Garland. And then as they built confidence out of those, at that point of the game, fairly, lucky, fortuitous makes, suddenly they've got rhythm, they've got confidence, and that flows on both ends, offensively and defensively for the Celtics. Meanwhile, could not be more of a polar opposite from our side in terms of you lose that flow, you lose that momentum, you start, giving up easy looks. You start falling asleep on your pick and roll coverages. We saw Tatum, Darius Garland came up the court, somewhat injured. I think he'd gotten winded on a rebound. And then Tatum just completely fell asleep on the switch there and allowed Garland to just get a wide open 3.
Dude.
That was probably the most egregious example I could think of, but it was just one of so many defensive lapses in this one. And then by the end, they just shook on both sides of the ball, and there was just no chance. We were saying in our playback stream live, playback.tv/CelticsBlog, subscribe, that there was, where's the run coming from? And there were just no signs from anyone or anywhere or anything that the Celtics were going to be able to get back in this game.
Yeah, if it was going to happen, it was going to be random, and we were going to be oh my God, this is a miracle, because there was nothing happening from anyone that of any consistency. 1 3-pointer made in the second half, besides the garbage time O'Shea Brissett game. It's really frustrating, man. This is the second round of the playoffs. This is the first time we won game 1 of a second round series in 2 years. We lost game 1 to the Bucks the year we went to the finals. We lost game 1 against the Sixers, James Harden last year. So, okay. It would be great. Win the second one. So you're not going to fucking Philly down tied 1-1, or you're not going to Cleveland tied 1-1. Man. And you're going to see all the comparisons now to Minnesota. And I think it's fair. We're looking at people that are going to win the title. This is what the Celtics are trying to fucking do here. And you come out and you just don't play hard enough, man. Look at what the Knicks are doing, and how they're leaving organs on the court every time they play a game. And I thought Drew Holiday and Pritchard were the 2 guys that I thought showed consistent hustle and effort. The problem is Drew Holiday has been a disaster offensively, putting the ball in the basket. Defensively, I thought at times he was good, but he feels like he needs to be part of the defensive machine. He's not going to be able to really be the one that took over with Derek White getting killed on screens. Tatum, ends up actually having a good stat line. If you were to show me the stat line before the game, I'd be I'd probably win this one, even though he shoots 41% from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 9 from 11 from the free throw line, 1 turnover. I'm that should be plenty. But he's just, where is the ability to physically overwhelm the game? getting blown by defensively, letting Tristan Thompson outwork you for rebounds. That's the part of Tatum's game that I love, and we just have not seen it in this series yet.
Yeah, and I mean, like Tatum early was going to the rim often, and then he kind of had that one possession where he like clearly was, I'm getting a pull up off of Max Strus,
Yep.
and he pump faked, Strus jumped, and he just like still took a horrible shot anyway that was not even close. And it's like after that point, it seemed like his mindset kind of changed, and he was sort of flowing in and out of the game. But it was just ugly everywhere. And the Cavs are just parking Evan Mobley in the paint. Like, just do the Grant Williams thing in Game 7 against Milwaukee with Al Horford. Have him shoot like 12 quarter threes because he's wide open basically every possession. And if he gets a few of those to go early, Mobley's going to have to come out of that paint, and then it's going to be way easier to get to the rim because that's part of the problem, man. Like, anytime anyone gets to the paint, like Mobley was awesome on both ends tonight, and I think especially defensively, he cut off basically all of our drives. I thought we did a pretty good job, like, getting fouls for the most part, but we couldn't finish anything we weren't fouled on, which is going to be a problem, especially when you shoot 24% from three on the flip side too. So I just think you gotta adjust, and we really just didn't do any adjustment at all offensively. I thought this game, Joe seemed to try some stuff defensively, but when Mitchell and Garland have it going on the pull-up, there's nothing you can do if you're going to play Al Horford big minutes because he can't switch for an entire game. He just can't switch on to Donovan Mitchell, period.
Yeah,
That was the one stretch where it worked.
Go ahead, Jake.
That was the one stretch where the defense was good, where they switched everything with Tillman and Horford.
Yeah, we saw extended Tillman time in this one. What did he play? 11 minutes, so not a whole lot, but it seemed like we couldn't find something that worked because we had Cornette in drop for a while. That wasn't working consistently. It was not working consistently. It was consistently failing is what I'm trying to say. Tillman, he had some good stretches in switch everything, but it seemed like the Cavs were able to adjust on all fronts. And, credit their defense on us because they just had the paint clogged, like you said, Spoonie. They were really racing out to shooters, like obviously other than clogging the paint and limiting layup attempts and easy looks at the rim, like just really dashing out to our kickouts and meeting our shooters on the catch. They were really, like, the hustle and tenacity on that front was really, really solid all night. And it seemed to really bother us. And then just like forcing us to get slowly into all of our offensive sets. It felt like 13, 12, 11 seconds on the clock by the time we ran something out of a horn set or whatever it may be. And just getting to our offense that late through that much of a delay, you just don't present as the dominant team in that situation, and that's what we theoretically are. I think we will come back in that sense in the third game here, but they just made us look like ragdolls out there. It was pretty troubling.
We're the bigger, more athletic team for the most part. We got Jalen and Jason and Drew and these guys. Like, I want to see these guys like overwhelm the game with effort if shots aren't going in. And like, I hate to fucking talk about effort and energy, dude, because it's like a lazy way to analyze the game a lot of the time. But like, this is what it felt like at times, because you saw it at times throughout the game. Like you talked about that one on Garland, man. Maybe that's not necessarily effort. He just like hurt his ankle. He doesn't even want to dribble the ball, and he's like looking for someone to pass the ball to. A screen comes up, and I don't know if it was Derek or Jason, doesn't matter who it was. There's no one around him, and he shoots a wide open three with fucking not even a hand up from either guy. Focus, effort, whatever you want to call it. It's just like it has to be better, dude. Like this is gonna be the reason you don't win the title. Is something like this. Like when they're playing at their best, they can hang with everyone. But the problem is the margin for error in the playoffs is so small. Look at the injuries that pop up throughout the NBA. Who knows now? This series goes to 6. Someone gets injured in game 6 and they're out for the beginning of the next series. Like anything can happen. You're just a little bit more tired. Al Horford, not quite as dominant at times here. Like you fuck around and you find out. Give credit to the Cavs. Like they clearly came out, had a game plan, and it worked. But where's the hit back? Like at no point did they hit back in the second half. I know it was like when nothing is going on, like nothing's going in. It's hard to hit back. And I don't need them to win the game. Like we get some relaxed comments in the chat here. I get it. But, it's upsetting, and we know that this can come back to hurt you later in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about how they lost, right? Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, we're going to wrap soon because our friends over at the Garden Report are about to kick things off over there, but we will be back for Celtics Late Night in a couple of hours' time. If you're here, thank you for joining us despite the loss. If you want to help cheer us up personally a little bit, please hit that like button, subscribe. Most of the time, it's a pretty fun show here because we win most of the time in this Celtics season, but alas, not tonight. Couple of questions before we wrap up. Spoonie, what do you think is going to be sort of the bigger storyline emerging out of this one? I have a feeling I know the answer just because of how the media works, but is it the stock exchange and the fact that we got absolutely nothing from them on either end all night? Or is it Tatum, despite the sexy stat line, looking a little troubled out there? Like, he got cracked off the dribble a bunch of times, which I think is maybe the most worrying thing, more worrying even than KP's injury at this point in the playoffs for Jason Tatum, elite defender, all of his career thus far, to look like that, defending one-on-one. What do you think is going to be the more prominent storyline?
I think it'll be Tatum. It's already been a storyline, even though we've been killing everybody and had won, 4 straight after that Game 2 loss against the Heat. And I felt like he had been playing fine, just missing shots. And this was a game I didn't think he played poorly in the first half. And then the second half in that third quarter was just an abomination. It's probably the worst I've seen him play in quite some time. So I think it'll be Tatum. That's the big storyline. And maybe with a little, is Donovan Mitchell better than Jason Tatum? Like that little twist to it too.
Best player in the series kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Because he's had 2 great games. Yeah.
He has been the best player in the series so far. Yeah, true. Obviously. I mean, I was gonna say Derek, but the magic was completely
terrible.
gone today. What's the thing with Derek is he always makes the right decisions. He had I like when he takes the pull-up threes and he's aggressive because he makes the shots, but he had a very difficult pull-up three that he bricked, and then the next possession he tried it again, and I was like, oh, I feel like he's usually really good at reading the room. He had one corner three that was kind of open behind the backboard that he should have driven. Not good, man. And you don't feel that very often from D White, but I mean, plenty of blame to go around today, I would say.
Look, and there's so much to get to. We've got time for one more question to wrap it up on this, and then we'll kick it over to the Garden Report. But guys, do you feel worse after this Game 2 loss compared to the Game 2 loss against the Heat? Because after that Game 2 loss against the Heat, I was in full panic stations. They know how to beat us. They've got the blueprint. All these things I've said 1,000 times already since that game. I don't necessarily have that sense of panic. It's more disappointment and oh, fuck, okay, this is going to go at least 5 games now. Quit the bullshit, as opposed to oh no, we're only 3 games away from our season ending. I don't feel as bad after this loss compared to the Game 2 loss.
I feel worse after this one. I don't know. I was really confident we were way better than the Heat, even though I definitely wavered a little bit. But I mean, Donovan Mitchell and his pull-up shooting is a problem. We don't really have a great way to defend that. And Ben, I think you said it in the playback. It's we miss KP just being 7'3" on that drop coverage because he can still kind of get out and contest, and he's just the best rim protector on the team. So, it worries me. Now I have a hard time seeing how Cleveland won't at least steal one more game and make this at least a 6-game series, which is just not ideal, man. You want to just kick ass, get to the next round, and whoever we play in the conference finals, assuming we win this series, is gonna be a dogfight. Pacers play fast, and the Knicks are psychotic, so you got to end this series quick. So I think I'm more worried, but I still think we will win the series for sure.
Yeah. I probably should feel worse because this team is better than the Heat. But I felt like I was going to die after the Celtics lost Game 2 of the Heat series.
Yeah.
And I think that's just part of... And I felt similar before the Heat series and before the Cavs series, and I just wasn't that scared coming into this thing. But I'm more disappointed than shitting my pants like I was after.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it was the Boston Celtics out there tonight. Yeah. And I think that's what helps me a little bit. It's okay, we'll be back. We'll be ourselves again going forward in this series, I hope. It's easy to talk yourself into it. It's just as easy to talk yourself out of it. And we're going to do plenty of that coming up on Celtics Late Night in a couple of hours' time. And then we'll be back here live on this channel throughout the next couple of days, and Spoonie will be joining us for those shows. But we are going to wrap up now to head off to the Garden Report, so make sure you jump over to the CLNS YouTube channels to check out that show. And guys, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I love the Celtics!